You're watching MMA Oddsbreaker. I'm Frank Trigg. This week we're talking to Travis Browne. We were just before we started the interview, we were talking about one of our mutual friends, Neil Melanson, who's actually down to training you for this camp. Is that correct?
Yeah. He came in and he helped me for a little over a week, and man, it was an honor to work with a guy, man. He's a really good guy, and I look forward to displaying what he taught me.
Yeah, the first time I went with him, Neil had to call Randy Couture after I got done training with him and go, "Hey, look, you better tell Trigg it's okay. Like he's gonna get beat like that all the time. You gotta let him know." Because I walked out of there kicking the trash can and throwing stuff against the wall and swearing and yelling at little kids for getting in my way. I was so mad. He caught me in the exact same triangle. Not just a triangle, the exact same setup to the triangle 4 times in a row, and I couldn't stop it. Like, I saw it coming. I just can't stop it. I don't know what to do. And I was just so frustrated. I wanted to shoot him in the head, but I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, when he was out there, he caught me in a couple things, and I was just getting so frustrated. You know what I mean? I would cuss and smack the mat and be like, "All right, show me how you did that. I'm gonna freaking defend it this time." You know what I mean? It's like, oh, but it's good times.
Yeah. It's Neil is definitely a character. He's a big guy, but he knows how to use his weight effectively without crushing you. So like I'm smaller, obviously, compared to him. He doesn't beat me up with it. He doesn't destroy me with it. Did you notice that too when you're rolling with Neil?
Yeah, he was kind of giving me a different look because, obviously we're training for Josh Barnett, and he's really heavy when he trains, when he fights. You can tell that he's just so. But I did notice that when we were just kind of free rolling, how he was really like hip wise, would move his hips really well, light, but then all of a sudden he'd hit you with his weight, and I'll just be like, holy hell! I mean, he's 275, 280,
And he feels like 400, and all of a sudden he puts it on you. You're like, geez, I can't move anything. Like he's just incredibly strong. So, well, let's talk about Jackson's mixed martial arts right now. How is it down there right now? What's going on?
It's really good, man. We have some of our local heavyweights in. I brought in actually Ricky Lundell and also Neil Melanson to help with the grappling. But we have some of our local heavyweights. Cody East. We have Anthony Hamilton coming in next week. We got this guy named Angel, and it's a good lineup. Early in my camp, we had the new Bellator heavyweight champion Vitali, and then we also had Andre here too. Oh. So those guys are beasts in their own right. So we have some good heavyweights here.
How has it been? Have you been having to bring in different kind of heavyweights because Josh Barnett does pose a different kind of weird problem? Were you having to think about recruiting heavyweights to come in and paying them to come in and train with you? Or were you lucky enough because you're at Jackson's that you have enough guys that were going to float in and out that you didn't have to worry about that too much?
We a little bit of both. My coaches do a really good job of scouting who I'm fighting and making sure that we have bodies there that either fight like them or that can give me this a similar look. I didn't know Neil. He knew Coach Jackson, and Coach Jackson hit him up as soon as he learned that I was fighting him and said, "Hey, Neil, we're going to need you out here for a bit of time," And I was lucky enough to get him out here and help me out. And then, same with our other heavyweights. The one, I would say almost like the one drawback of Jackson's is that we have so many imports that like we're not always here. Does that make sense? Like even myself, I live in California. I live in San Marcos, California, but I come and do my camps here. But at the same time, I've been good to my training partners. My training partners are good to me. And if I call them, I'm like, "Hey, I need you guys to get out here." They come out at the drop of the hat and they help me out, just like I would them. And that is where this is a team sport. People want to say, "Hey, this isn't a team sport." At the end of the day, you're getting in that cage, by yourself. But at the same time, man, without those guys' help, without their team effort, I wouldn't be able to do what I do.
Well, you say you're up there at San Marcos in California, but you're originally from Oahu. So why did you move from Oahu, Hawaii, to California? Why did you make the jump?
Yeah, so actually, my childhood and stuff, I would go back and forth quite a bit. I spent a lot of time in Hawaii. My father actually moved out to Vegas when I was really young, like 8 or probably about 9. He passed away when I was 10 in Las Vegas, in Clark County. So he came out to the mainland to be closer to me. But then after he passed away, I still went back to Hawaii and stayed with aunts and uncles. My mom moved to California when I was young, like 4 or 5. and they used to split a lot of time. And we're talking about like chunks of time, not just like weekends and stuff, obviously, because it's an ocean away pretty much. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in Hawaii, some time in California. But once my father passed away, I went back and forth for another couple years, and then I kind of like made my home in California with my mom. So a little bit more of a stable like environment, you know, just being with one person and all that kind of stuff going through high school. But you know, the island's a funny thing, man. As much time as I've spent away from there, I feel like that's my home every time I go back. You know, I get teary-eyed when I show up, when I'm flying in and I see it, and I get teary-eyed when I leave. And I'm like, this is where I belong. But, you know, for right now.
I'm having that same problem. I fly back and forth quite a bit. I have a lot of friends over there, and I have some business interests over there as well that I go back for. And it's becoming harder and harder to get away once I get there. And I'm actually stalling my next trip because I know once I go there, I'm going to have to stay for a long time. And I kind of want to go and I'm going to have the kids with me. So they're not with their mom, but they're all with me, and we can go all at the same time. So they can kind of experience it, because the islands do kind of suck you in. And I live in Vegas, which is the 8th island of Hawaii. Because if you go downtown to California, it's like, oh, hey, I met you with Greg Honda. Oh, I met you with Terry Harmon. Oh, I know you from Charles Arakaki. Oh, I know you from Egan Enaway. Like, it's like you see everybody that you know on the island. They're all here working. Like they're not in as tourists. They're here working on something else. And so it's very difficult living in Vegas because you see so many Hawaiians now. And if you know, you'll be out here for Christmas. The middle of the Strip, they now have the Hawaiian Village in the middle of the Strip, which was King Kamehameha's out in the front. And you go in, it's like it is a all-for-all ABC store plus, what is it, Hilo Hattie's, and everything is all in this one space. And, and you go down there, and you're like, oh, wow, like everybody that's in there, like, oh, yeah, I know that guy, I saw that guy before, I know that guy. It's very strange. So it's I totally understand.
Even when I come back to Vegas, man, I see all these guys, all the soles, they all work like, security or like one time this is when I was with Famous Stars and Straps as my sponsor. We were all going to like a charity event, and a guy that showed up to drive us all from the hotel to the charity event, and he was a Samoan guy, and he was actually friends with my cousin who lives there. He's like, Trav, bro, we barbecued 3 months ago in the back of Alvin Lee's freaking thing. I was like, holy hell, yeah, we sure did. We'll be in the club. We'll be in the club somewhere, and some guy will get a little testy, either with my woman or just with our table or something. And then all of a sudden, bro, all the security is like all like family pretty much, and they're like, Trav, you good? Okay, sounds good. This guy needs to go home. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes. I'm not even like, I'm not famous. I'm not the guy spending $100,000 at the club, but they treat me like it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's a very special culture for folks who haven't been over to Hawaii or haven't spent a lot of time there. If you get there a lot and they start realizing that you're not just some random tourist that's coming in, for 3 or 4 weeks, as you're a guy that's there all the time. They do. There is a difference between being a haole, being a local, and being a native Hawaiian. Like there is a complete difference when you go over there, and they start giving you a complete different respect when you go in and go to shops. Just not the pricing. There's 3-tier pricing on everything. Just not the pricing, but how they respect you and how they treat you. It's a different ballgame, and I really love it. I can't wait to where I am financially viable enough to own a place someplace in Hawaii. So
it's funny, man. When I go back, it's like my sister might be in front of me, or like one of my sister's friends who are white or something, and we'll be getting pretty much the same thing. But his deal is like almost 1.5 times what mine is. You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, you're Trav, you're local. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? You get the local boy price, and I'm like, but that's my sister's husband, and you just charge him 1.5 times what you charge me. He's like, oh, he's local too? Okay, sounds good. We'll take care of him from now on. It's like, oh, okay, sounds good. Thanks.
It's great. It's great. All right, we got some really off track. Let's talk about Josh Barnett real quick.
Sounds good.
Where is he most dangerous? Like, where is he? Because now he's an older guy. He saw DC. Daniel Cormier was able to beat him up relatively easily just by using a bunch of wrestling. That's all he did. So where do you really see Josh being the most dangerous when you fight him?
Look, man, it's no secret. It's no secret where we're each going to try to keep the fight. I'm not trying to go into this fight and submit Josh Barnett. I don't want to submit anybody. I don't want to. You know what I mean? I don't train my ass off for 2 months. I don't remove myself from my kids, from my family, from my friends for 2 months to go out there and give a guy a chance to go ahead and be like, okay, I'm sorry, that was too tight, I'm going to tap out. No, I'm looking to put you to sleep, break your face, do something to you that will always make you remember the reason why you lost to me. And that's what pushes me every day. I don't want to give you a chance to quit. I want to make the ref step in and say, hey, if I wasn't here, this guy would be dead. You know what I mean? Because you knocked him out and he's done. I don't like giving guys a chance to quit. So he obviously wants to close the distance. I have long limbs. I have long range. That's what he's going to want to do. If he tries to stand there with me, I will more than oblige him. Guaranteed he starts getting punched, just like he does with most of the other guys. He's going to try and close the distance. Mm-hmm. Now it's about how he closes the distance and how I defend that. Because it's a start standing, and we're a cage apart. So he has to get close to me. I don't have to get close to him. But it's when he does get close is what I'm going to do. That's going to just be the difference maker.
You spend more time with Jackson or with Winkeljohn as far as training goes?
Right now I spend a lot of time with Winkeljohn.
Okay.
But Jackson, and that's the only reason why is because Jackson is traveling. Okay. He went out and spent time with Andre. Then he went out to corner Julie in Australia. So he hasn't been here for like a week and a half. But that's also why Coach Jackson set up Neil to come out and give me a good look and give me that training period.
Well, the reason I was asking, because it sounds like from the way that you're kind of approaching this fight that you would spend more time with Winkeljohn, because of both guys are very good at stand-up game. Both guys are very good at game planning, but Winkeljohn is a little bit better at getting guys to backpedal and getting guys to move out of the way, because Josh is going to attack, and from what it sounds like you're telling me, that you want to keep him at the end of your punches and keep him moving at the end. So as you're backpedaling and backstepping, he's walking into your fists, but you're out of the way and he can't close the distance. So my assumption was that you were spending more time with Winkeljohn just because that's where Jackson and Winkeljohn decided that you need to spend your time, because that would be the benefit of the camp. When Jackson gets back, is that going to be the same case, or is it going to be more Jackson to be more involved again?
The great thing about them is that they're like yin and yang. I mean, they're the exact opposites. So working with Coach Jackson, we're putting myself in the worst case scenario. Say I get clocked and dazed and I fall on my back and Josh Barnett is on top of me in the perfect position he could ever imagine. What am I going to do? You know what I mean? And that's where we work. And honestly, if you don't work on your strength, on your weaknesses like that, you're going to lose a fight, So I work on my weaknesses twice as much as I work on my strengths. But at the end of the day, Winkeljohn is there also to put myself in bad situations, because Barnett is not a bad striker as well. People look at him as like a catch wrestler or wrestler or grappler and heavy on top. But, when you watch his fights, man, he has crisp, clean punches and strikes and kicks and knees and, stuff like that. He's a veteran of the game. He was the champion back in 2002. You got to give him credit, and we've been preparing for it all.
That's one of the toughest things about Josh Barnett, is that he is a complete fighter. Even though he's getting a little bit older, he's getting a little bit longer in the tooth, he still is he's one of the original complete overall guys that can really hurt you from any position, whether it's standing up, punching you or kicking you, or taking you down and passing your guard and submitting you. It makes it for a difficult battle, but if there's going to be any camp they can put it together, it's going to be Jackson's camp. And you're a hard hitter, and you're a guy that, yes, you're not a grappler. You're not a guy that's going to try to grapple somebody, but you know how to grapple. You've got 2 submission victories in your life. You've got an arm bar and you've got a triangle choke, arm triangle choke. You're understand the entire game from a whole, but you also understand where you are best at. And you're best at hitting a guy in the head a bunch of times and making him fall down. Yeah. And so you're not going to waver off into these other areas, even though you do understand these other areas. Do you see that happening a lot now with a lot of these guys, where everyone is so worried about like the John Joneses and the GSPs and the Johnny Hendricks, where like these guys are complete fighters, they're complete, they know how to battle in every direction, but you're like, I know how to battle every direction. I'm choosing to battle in a stand-up game because I can finish the fight the best way. Do you see a difference in that now in the game?
Yeah, definitely. If you look at all the champions, they're all so diverse that their game plan really reflects on who they're fighting. If look at John Jones against Chael Sonnen. You know what I mean? He comes in And Chael's known for his wrestling, his grinding pace, and all that kind of stuff. What people don't know about John is, I mean, they know about him now, but his wrestling is top notch. You know, they look at him as being a tricky striker with long range, and he can take you down. He has great ground and pound. But the way he handled Sonnen, I mean, but then also if you look back, the way he handled, you know, like when he fought Alex, you know, that was 5 rounds of a stand-up fight, and he beat Alex Gustafsson, who is a striker. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing, is all these champions, everything reflects on who they're fighting and what is going to bring their aspect out, you know, like John Jones wrestling or his striking, or GSP's wrestling or his striking, you know, it all reflects who they're fighting, in my opinion.
I agree. I think that we're going to start seeing a change of that. I think it's going to come full circle again, where it's your jiu-jitsu is not as good as my boxing, which is not as good as my wrestling, which is not as good as your kung fu. And it's going to be almost back to stylistic and specific, even though everyone understands the entire game. Everybody's going to become, instead of being brown belts at everything, you become a black belt at one thing and a purple belt at everything else, and keep the fight where you want to keep it, whether it's on the ground, on your feet, whatever it is. Like Ben Askren, whose striking is horrible, and just signed his new deal with the World Series of Fighting, gets you down, takes you down, passes your guard, and holds you there and beats you up, and there's nothing you can do about it. He understands his wrestling is what got him there. He's going to use his wrestling. He's going to learn the other games, but he's going to be a black belt in wrestling. That's what he's going to do. And I kind of see you being the same way. You understand the rest of the game, but you're sticking with your striking because you know that's what got you, and that's how it's going to work for you, is knocking guys out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think people are more considered. You know, people ask, "Oh, what's your background?" And I'm like, basketball. Or you can call me an MMA fighter, because I'm not a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm not a straight striker, kickboxer. I didn't come from a wrestling background or a boxing background. So what am I? You're either going to call me a basketball player, or you're going to call me an MMA fighter. You know what I mean? And that's the art that people are training for now. And that's where I even think that might be the downside to the new generation, because they're going to be almost mediocre at everything. Mm-hmm. Instead of really good at one thing and then being able to shine at that and understand the rest of it, just like what we're talking about. You know, they're going to be like purple belts at everything or brown belts at everything. But then when you get a guy at a black belt striker level, let's say, but purple belt jiu-jitsu that learns how to defend certain things, where do I beat him? I mean, he can defend somewhat most of all my brown belt level stuff, but then he kicks my butt standing up. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what to do. I'm lost, you know?
Yeah, and I really do think that's the way the world's going to go, especially in mixed martial arts, and especially with the super saturation we're seeing now with all the shows, all the promotions, and all the different networks airing them out. Of course, the UFC is still the top dog. It's still the biggest bet. It's the NFL of football. It's the Stanley Cup of hockey. It's the World Cup of soccer at this point. It is absolutely destroying everybody worldwide, and everyone else is hoping to be behind them in some space. So, Travis, thanks for coming on to MMA Oddsbreaker. I appreciate it. It was great talking a little bit of Hawaii with you. And good luck. And I'll see you here. I'll see you here in Las Vegas. I'm already here, so I'll see you here when you get in town.
Sounds good, my man. We'll see you the 24th. I check in the 24th, fight the 28th. I look forward to spending my Christmas with all the Las Vegans. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. We're all. It's going to be a lot of single guys and a lot of real ugly groupies is what it's going to be like.
There you go.
All right, but we'll talk to you later.
Take it easy, man. See you.